Hello, this is Dr. Claudine Roura, the Fat Sucker, and welcome to my channel. Today is a continuation of our frequently asked questions. So this is part 2. Of course, our guest is Dr. Claudine Roura.
Hi, Doctor! Here I am again. Okay, so continuation of our frequently asked questions.
What happens if I gain weight after liposuction?
Now, what happens if they gain weight? Of course, they also gain weight. Through the years, of course, you accumulate fat, okay, depending on how much you maintain yourself. Okay, not all of the fat cells are actually removed. Okay, so there are still some live fat remaining, and the ones that are left behind can still increase more than 300 times its original size. That's why they actually gain weight or they actually gain fat again. Okay, now, however, when you actually gain again after a liposuction procedure, you have this tendency to gain it in other areas of the body that hasn't been lipoed. You just do lipo on the tummy. So that part is already a scar tissue area. So ano na yan, konti na lang yung fat cells natin dyan. You have this tendency to store fats somewhere else where you haven't had your lipo. For example, you had it lipo on the tummy, you can gain it in your arms, you can gain it in your back. If you didn't maintain yourself, of course, lalaki pa din ikaw.
But if that happens, if they gain weight again, how do you treat that? Can they have another lipo after the first liposuction?
Yes, okay, if they gain weight again, okay, if they lose, of course, they go back to their original shape. Okay, if they can't lose it, okay, then the treatment is another lipo, either on the adjacent area that hasn't been lipoed, or we can also do lipo on the original areas if you really did gain a lot of fat over in that area. So, lipo pa din. Okay? So, is that still actually our treatment of choice?
Thank you for that, Doctora. Okay, another question is, will liposuction remove cellulite? Yung cellulite yung sa legs, yung mga dimpling dun sa thighs natin, will liposuction remove cellulite?
And unfortunately, no.
Okay, but it can improve.
Cellulite is more of a superficial fat problem, you know. So, while lipo does more of a deep fat problem. Okay, when we do vaser, we can also treat the superficial fat. When we actually do vaser for cellulite, it actually improves the cellulite. I cannot promise that will actually treat or remove cellulite, but there is a nicer chance that it will actually improve.
How do I maintain my result? For example, nagpa-lipo sila, how do they maintain it?
Okay. For maintenance of your lipo, normally liposuction talaga is ideally done only once.
Also ideally once lang.
Okay, especially you gain weight, tumataba ka ulit. Okay, if the fat is actually soft enough, then you can actually do a lipo. Okay, but actually, the real maintenance of this, since this is actually, as I said, a body sculpting procedure, it's a body sculpting, it is not weight loss. Okay, so for you to maintain this area is, of course, your lifestyle, the behavior already. So you have to maintain it with your diet and exercise program.
Can you also do liposuction on the face? Kasi kanina, we're actually discussing more of body. How about the face? Can you do lipo for the face?
Yes, we can do liposuction for the face. Okay, especially for the double chin. No? So as we age or as we gain weight, pati yung chin lumalaki. So it's a very simple procedure. It's a very small area. We actually just do it under local anesthesia. Another one is actually more on the lower face. So when you get jowly, you know, when the skin a little bit sags on the cheek area, and then you get really, really jowly here, it's also nice to remove a little bit of it so that actually it will go down, flatten out your jowls, and then eventually you can do a little bit of a thread lift or some form of other lifting. Iba, napapatanggal sila ng tinatawag na buccal fat pad. They want it to look like this. I really refrain from doing that. I actually discourage them from doing the buccal fat pad removal because for me, you will need it eventually as you grow older because it does not grow back again.
The next topic is actually about fat transfer. After we do the lipo, we say, sayang naman yung fat. So what will we do with the fat? We can actually transfer it. We can reuse your fat to be transferred to other parts of the body. So Doctora will actually enlighten us about fat transfer. The first question is actually, is it safe?
Yes, after lipo, okay, so we have this enormous amount of fat. So what do we actually do with it? Okay? Normally, in the olden times, it's just liposuction. Liposuction. You pull it out and then you just throw it away because in the olden times, we hate fat. So, suck it out and then throw it. Okay. Now, recently, we actually use a lot of fat. Okay. So, basically, as we do the body sculpting, it's not just fat removal. It's also fat repositioning, fat transfer. For example, when we do the breast. Okay. So, after you do flatten out your tummy and then you can actually put fat into your breast and into your butt. Okay. Why? Okay. Example, you were asking me about the breast, is it safe? Okay, our breast is actually made up of breast tissue, the one that excretes the milk, okay, and fat. Okay, so fat is actually the one that actually gives the volume or the size of your breast. Breast tissue is actually just one size. Okay? It only increases in size when you are actually pregnant and when you're actually doing your breastfeeding. When you're actually finished with your breastfeeding, the breast tissue actually shrinks. Okay? O lumiliit na siya. Sometimes, when you ask yourself that, why was it when I was actually dalaga pa, maganda yung boobs ko, malaki-laki, after ko manganak, akala ko mas lalaki, lost the meat. Because there is atrophy. There is atrophy of your breast tissue and also atrophy of the fatty tissues. Okay? So, nawawala, especially when you lose weight. So, what can you do with the excess fat? You can actually just put it. It's just revolumizing your breast.
It's natural.
It is very safe because it is your own. It's actually safer than your breast implant. Okay? So, don't go for the so-called collagen injections. This is actually silicone oil in disguise. We just call it collagen injections. But of course, these are the ones that are really, really bad for your breast. Okay? If you're gonna be injecting something in your breast, do it with fat, nothing else, because that one is actually the safest one to inject into your breast.
Now, can you enlighten us more about this fat transfers? How do you actually perform it? Okay, so of course, liposuction, as the term implies, you lipo, you suck. Okay, how do you put it back?
How do we perform the fat transfers? Okay, so everything is done actually intraoperatively. After harvesting fat, we harvest it and transfer it into sterile containers. For just regular lipo, we just put it in non-sterile containers and just actually throw it away. Now, for fat transfers, for fat grafting, when we harvest it into sterile containers, and then actually we wash it and then we will let it decant. Okay, decantation means we just let it stand on its own and then it separates because it's fat and water. So fat and water don't actually mix. Remove the liquid layer. We clean the fatty layer and then we transfer it into syringes and then we actually inject. Okay, for the breast and even up to the butt, it's multi-layer. You go deep. For the breast, we go deep behind the breast into the muscle, into the pectoral muscles, and we go behind the breast into the breast tissue and again into the subcutaneous tissue. So it has to be multi-layer, okay, so that your fat graft should actually get adequate blood supply. Okay? And then also the same for the butt with regards to the amount. Okay, as I said, the most important thing is your fat graft survival. Okay? Fat graft survival, around 70% of your fat will survive, which means, for example, if you put 100 cc, 70% is actually at 70 cc. That is actually the one that will survive. These are live cells. They need oxygen, they need blood supply, they need nutrition, so that actually they will actually survive in that area. Okay? So if you want more, okay, we can actually do it in several sessions. For example, if you do the first, okay, usually you wait around 3 months before you actually see the final graft survival. So whatever is left on the 3rd month is usually your long-term results. If you're not happy with that size, then you can actually add more. Okay? You can get more fat and then just inject. Same with the butt. So it's the same situation for that one. Okay?
Oh, so fat graft survival. So depends talaga on how much is going to survive. How much can you actually put in the breast or in the butt?
As I said, it depends. Usually 350 to 400 cc we can put. And then if you compute it at around 70% fat graft survival, for example, let's put it at 400. 70% of 400 is around 280 cc. So that is good enough around a cup C. So again, if the breast will also allow it. Sometimes the breasts are actually contracted, they're very tight. It does not allow you to inject a lot of fat, okay, because it's going to be too tight. If it's too tight, the blood supply will be compromised and the oxygenation will also be compromised. So the fats will not survive. Not like the implants that no matter, as I said, no matter how much you want, how big, 400, 500, 600, it's an inert substance. So it doesn't need your oxygen or blood supply. So whatever you want, how big you want it, okay lang yan. What happens if they lose weight? For example, they work out, they diet, extreme diet, and exercise. So what happens to the fat graph? This is natural breast augmentation, natural bulk augmentation. We use fat. Okay? So when we transfer the fat, we don't actually just transfer the oil. We actually transfer the fat cells itself. When the fat actually survives on that area, the fat cells is there. However, of course, when you lose weight, whatever is stored, liliit siya. So it's gonna shrink. So you will actually also lose your breast. When you actually gain, of course, the fat cells will gain fat again. So it will actually increase in size. That's why it's called natural breast augmentation, natural butt augmentation. Because we use fat. So it will always depend on how you feed it. Thank you again, Dr. for that. And again, thank you for our guest, Dr. Claudine Roura. Thank you again for inviting me. I hope I again shed light on this frequently asked questions. And this is again Dr. Claudine Roura, the Fat Sucker, saying, see you in our next episode. Bye-bye. To watch more videos, please click that button down there. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Fat Sucker channel. And again, this is the Fat Sucker, Dr. Claudine Roura, saying, see you in our next episode. Bye-bye!